Hi there, and we have a really interesting important info regarding Silverwolf today, just because via official CN community we got her skills revealed, and you may ask why should I be bothered about that. I already roughly know what she does from closed beta, but the most important thing that right before releasing the character, of course developers have some time to rethink and rebalance the character so she fits the current situation in the game. She is not too overpowered or too weak, so no one summons for her, and those minor changes are the most defining for us because they exactly will dictate how strong the character will be. So in this video we're gonna discuss what we already know about her, but of course here I want to explain that first of all, for developers the challenge is to create the character, to understand how her abilities will work. Then, maybe the most important challenge, they have to explain the player base how every skill works in description, and here there already is a big chance that there will be some misunderstandings, but the most important thing now that it was explained on Chinese and after that was translated with Pride1GG. I'm not saying that they are bad at translating, not at all. They are doing a really important and useful work, but even a slight mistranslation might lead to complete misunderstanding of how her skill works. So if you want to actually know how strong Silverwolf is, the best way to know this is just to wait a few days or at least a week from the moment when she will be released, so people can just summon for her, test her out, and then say if she's a good character or maybe a bad character. But we anyway will discuss what we already know about official Silverwolf, which we are gonna get in game. So first of all, the traces, one of the most important things, because even her first trace is really good, but of course the second and third one are like the most defining. First one, we first of all are prolonging our bugs duration for some unknown amount of turns. If you don't know what are bugs, with her passive she gives us a chance to, with her just simple basic attack, apply additional debuff to the enemy. That's why I always say that her basic attacks are one of the most efficient ones, because you're not only dealing random like your elemental small damage to the enemy, you also can apply random debuff, which is like almost the skill, of course one of the weakest skills we may have in the game, but this is a really efficient thing because you're not only saving up your skill point, you also are generating one additional skill point. So the bugs are really interesting thing to operate with. And the second part, every time an enemy is inflicted with weakness break, which we will do lots of time because we're using Silverwolf, we have a chance to apply additional random bug to the enemy, so we will have more debuffs. This is really interesting. Of course we don't know what are the percentages, what is the amount of turns, but anyway this is a really good trace. About the second one, this is the most defining one, because the biggest discussion around Silverwolf was that via some unconfirmed sources we might know that Silverwolf on her official release will only apply weakness break for 2 turns, which is 1 turn less than on closed beta, and of course this makes her much more skill dependent and overall she's not that stable unit. But this second trace states that the duration of the weakness implemented by Silverwolf skill increases by X turns. Again, we don't know if it will fix this thing and she will anyway apply it for 3 turns. Maybe it will be 2, like you apply a weakness break for 1 turn and this trace increases the weakness break by additional turns, so it's 2. But it might be the opposite, we might even have 4 turns in theory. I don't believe that, but in theory we can have that. So anyway, she is not that useless as someone discusses. I hope for that. Again, to actually know this, we have to wait until she will be released. Then the third one, if the enemy has X or more debuffs when skill is used, the enemy's all type damage resistance decreased by an extra X%. And of course, we can apply those debuffs. There might be like 3 or maybe up to 5 debuffs on the enemy, but we already have chance to apply 3 with our bugs, which we only have to use our basic attacks to do this. So it's not that hard, and this trace might be really interesting. Now about her skill, which is the most important thing. It will take some time to discuss this one, but we have a really big change in wording. And wording is the most important about her skill because we still don't know how it actually works, like to understand completely her mechanic. But previously what it was, like, let's read it because we really want to take every word we have in this skill. So we are applying damage to the enemy, and with some percent, some chance, we are inflicting the additional weakness of the same type as a random ally's attack type for 3 turns. So how it at least used to work, that like the game gathers information about your elements, about your character's elements. For example, you have 2 characters of fire element, and then wind, and then quantum. It knows that you have wind, it knows that you have fire, and it knows that you have quantum. As I understand, maybe I'm mistaken here. And then like it gathers 3 elements, and every of those 3 elements has 33% chance to apply those weaknesses. But now, first of all, we don't have this statement that it's a random ally's attack, and overall we have a big different wording, because now we are applying a weakness of an ally's type to the target. How I can understand that, and why I was saying about like 3+1 strategy, so you can apply the weakness you want with 75% chance. When you are using this skill, this is how I understand, I may be mistaken here, but when you're using skill, one of your random allies is chosen no matter what his element is, and you just apply the weakness of this exact ally. So if you, in theory, have 3 characters of same element, you have 75% chance to apply that one. And at least here on Pride One, they like kind of confirm what I was thinking about that, because they are stating that if you have 3 characters of the same type and like Quantum Silverwolf by default, you have 25% chance to apply Quantum. Again, we only can check this after she will be released, but like I have some faith in this exact thing. Of course, it might be as we understand it previously, that we just have 50-50 chance if we have 2 elements. Like overall in our team, we have a 33% chance if we have 3 elements. We will see how it actually works, and this is only the first part of her skill. Then we have like another weakness on the target, which will be replaced if we reapply the skill, which is really interesting, because first of all, you can't apply like 5 weaknesses on the one enemy, 5 additional ones. Secondly, if, for example, you was unlucky to apply the wrong weakness, in theory, if you are ready to just use another skill points, you can just reapply the weakness and hope to get the proper one. Of course, it's much better to re-enter the stage, especially in Memory of Chaos, and just wait until like with first lucky attempt you just use the skill and get the proper weakness. But in theory, you can just apply additional one, and then it will replace the first one, and it might be a proper element. Then, in addition, there is a chance to additionally reduce the all types resistance of the enemy by X% for a certain amount of turns. It's really good because here we don't care about the element. We anyway reduce all types resistance, and like this thing is followed in some other things of her kit, and it might be a really defining factor, not even this one, because here, of course, we have the change of wording, but like we still have to test, and it will be really hard to test this because maybe you have to do like around 200 to 300 runs with Silverwolf in like 3+1 team and 2+2 team to actually understand how she works. And then we, of course, deal damage. This is also interesting because previously we were dealing damage with Silverwolf's skill and then applying all of those debuffs, additional damage resistance, reduction. But now we are doing all of that, and then we are dealing damage. So for example, if you're playing mono quantum team, this means you first of all apply quantum weakness no matter what, because you have 100% chance to apply only quantum weakness. Then you have chance to decrease the quantum type resistance because you only care about quantum, and then you deal damage with her skill. So it might be a really strong skill. Again, we have to check that, but now it looks like exactly like this. About her ultimate, it's not that different, but if you're talking about every skill, let's also mention this one. So we have a really high chance to decrease enemies' defense by some percent for some turns, and then at the same time we will deal damage with Silverwolf's quantum element. It's just a good single target ultimate, which also can act as debuff and ultimate. So you have enemy boss, you just use this ultimate, you deal some damage, but after that you can deal lots of damage with your main DPS character because you already reduced the enemy's defense. Again, nothing that different from the ultimate which we have on closed beta, but we will see about this one. I think it might be a really good ultimate no matter how it will actually work, because it's really simple one. It's not that complicated as a skill. Now about the talent, which we already discussed, about bugs system. So we can apply one of 3 bugs randomly when we are attacking enemy with basic attack. One bug, like the first one, is to reduce enemy's attack, the second one is reduce enemy's defense, and the third one is reduce enemy's speed. All of them are actually really useful. Again, depending on the situation, you might not really want to reduce defense or attack, you might only aim for speed reduction, but like if you are not reducing speed or defense, this means enemy might take some turns and attack you. That's why you care about reducing attack. If you want to reduce attack or speed so enemy won't kill you, but you reduce defense, this means you have chance to kill the enemy. So overall this talent is really strong. It makes like Silver Wolf's basic attack the only basic attack you actually want to use in the game if we're talking about semi-DPS characters, because for any other character, theoretically, you always prefer to use your skill, but for Silver Wolf, maybe except Tinyun. But now, with Silver Wolf, we actually want to apply one proper weakness on the enemy and then only care about generating skill points and applying lots of those bugs. About her technique, this is a really interesting thing, because her technique looks... I can't say like insane, the strongest technique we currently have in the game, because this one has only one flaw. We immediately attack the enemy. So we can't combine, especially if we're playing Memory of Chaos, we can't combine this technique with any other technique which deals damage. But this one is so strong that maybe you just have to use this one instead of any other damage dealing technique, because we are dealing quantum damage to all the targets, to every enemy we have, and after entering battle we reduce toughness from all enemies, ignoring their weakness. So we, with this skill, and then enemies with weakness broken in this way, this like we can with this part just break the enemy's weakness. It doesn't matter what element weakness they actually have, we just deal quantum damage and break the weakness. And then enemies with their weakness broken in this way will trigger the quantum weakness break effect. So it means like with this technique, while we are attacking with technique, we always apply quantum weakness. Like it doesn't work this way, but the result is the same. So we can actually push enemies' actions back with this ability. Again, it depends on the amount of toughness for every enemy, but in theory it might work. And also you're just reducing like the base turn 1 toughness on the main boss, so it's much easier to actually break them. Overall, this is a really strong thing. So what can we now say about Silver Wolf? Again, she is really strong. It doesn't look like she is nerfed, as like some people in the comment section are always saying she's nerfed, there is no sense in summoning for her. I can't say that she is totally nerfed, she is just rebalanced, she is made a bit different from how she was in closed beta, and also I don't really want any character to be like completely broken, so you only want to use this character. It's much better when it's to some extent balanced-ish, so you can use any team. Like you don't have to use only 2 5-star characters to finish all the game. You can do exactly the same with 4-star characters, with other not that popular 5-star characters, and this is really good. But we already can see that she might really become one of the strongest supportive characters in the game. Again, we have this X on basically everything we discussed in this video. So in theory, we might have her, for example, ultimate lasting for only 1 turn and reducing the defense by not that much. This might be a thing. We only can check this when the character is released. I don't want to say if you have to summon for her in this video, because I already have a video about that, and I don't want to actually make like 50 videos where I'm saying almost the same but with some changes. I will also make another video about Silver Wolf and should you summon for her when she will be released, and after a week when we will be able to actually test her out, understand how this ability works, because again, I'm not saying that you are wrong when you mention in the comment section that there is a 50-50% chance always when, no matter if you're using 3+1 or 2+2 strategy. But again, on Pridevent, they also mentioned 25%, so maybe I'm not the only one who understands this wording exactly like we are increasing our chance if we have 2 or more characters of the same element. We'll see all of that. These skills look really promising. If you want to get a bit more info on this character when she will be released, I will try to summon for her. Hopefully I will get her and I will do those testings, and that's why maybe consider subscribing to the channel to get a bit more info about Silverwolf. But for now, that's it. Thanks for your kind attention and see you soon.